research, they are actually called idioms, and they're little sayings which actually mean something completely different, or something slightly different, and these are actually called English idioms. Do a double line under that. That was sort of a common thing I would often do. I still do when I'm doing, if I was writing numbers on a bit of paper and you had to do a total. Down the bottom you draw a line above the total and then 2 lines underneath to indicate it's a total. Anyway, I digress. I haven't really even started the video and I'm already digressing. Okay, so I've got exam grade 2B Stabilo pencil. I think I must have in the cupboard maybe 50 of these new pencils, so kind of got a lifetime supply. Exam grade eraser. Lost the cover though. Missed the brush in case I've got to correct any mistakes. Oh no, sorry. Wipe away any of the little bits from the rubber. And just in case, I've got a pencil sharpener. Okay, so what I'm going to do is write down the idioms. The first one is feeling under the weather. Feeling under the weather. And then write down what it means, which is to feel sick. And then I'm going to talk about where people feel that this idiom came from. So actually feeling under the weather is believed to be from sailors on ships. When they'd feel sick, they wouldn't stay on the deck and help. They'd go under the deck and trying to get better. Laying in their bed under the deck, so they weren't outside in the weather. They were under the weather and under the deck. So that's where feeling under the weather, to feel sick, comes from. I'll just say comes from rather than say maybe comes from, for all of these. Now the next one is to beat around the bush. So to beat around the bush means to talk. Beat around the bush, talk and not get to the point. Talk and not get to the point, or just not get to the point of the, say you're talking and you're kind of going around in circles and not getting anywhere. And this idiom comes from hunting, where if you're after some sort of bird or animal out in the countryside, then you might circle around and beating and making a noise and try to scare the animals in one direction, so they can be it would be easier to hunt them. Okay, so the next one is read the riot act. Well, they probably should be capitals, but which just means that is trying to get people to, quieten down, quiet down, or stop being so loud or boisterous, quiet down. And actually the Riot Act was actually an act of Parliament in ancient British government, and where they were allowed to get the Riot Act allowed the people in authority to disperse the crowds, so and quiet them down and stop people being quite so boisterous and loud, and they were worried about people overthrowing the kings and all those sort of things back in the good old days, 1700s. Okay, so the next one is proof is in the pudding. Which means, at the end of a task or something, is that there's proof. The proof is in the pudding, so at some point down the track there'll be evidence to substantiate to back up the claim, substantiate the claim made, and this sort of comes from the idea that when you're cooking a pudding, then you're finding all the ingredients, and it's taking a while to mix everything together and find your ingredients and then bake it, and so you've got to wait for the pudding to be finally cooked to realise that if the pudding is any good, or if there is actually evidence to back up the claim. So if you're saying that the proof is in the pudding, then you've got to wait for the you have to wait for the evidence to appear to back up the claim. Okay, so the next one is bite the bullet. Bite the bullet is when you're going to go on and accept something that's unpleasant. And accept something that's unpleasant. And this idiom, I should really sort of put in little brackets there, sayings, I suppose. Okay, so this idiom dates back to the days before anaesthetic, when doctors had to operate on people. Then they bite the bullet to help them try and something to bite on to try and make the pain somehow bearable, but probably with limited success, I would say. Okay, the next one is break the ice. Break the ice, which is where you start up break the ice, talk to somebody, start a conversation. Just had to think how to spell start for a second then. Go on, start a conversation. Break off hostilities, or stop hostilities as well, so that's break the ice and allow that bigger ship to enter the port and unload the cargo. So it's break the ice, start a conversation, break the ice with the little ships heading off and breaking up the ice in the harbour and allowing the big ships to come in. Okay, the next one is mad. Mad as a hatter means that you're, well, insane, crazy, insane. Well, not necessarily totally insane, but insane in it. Still being able to function way. And actually, I always thought that came from the Lewis Carroll and Alice in Wonderland in a Mad Hatter's Tea Party. But it was actually from there was a disease in the 17th century France called Mad Hatter's disease, and it was poisoning. Poisoning by people that made hats, that used the felt to make hats. Not sure what was wrong with the felt. It didn't make them totally mad, but just made them a bit irritable and maybe some tremors and things that appear to be mad. Okay, so the next one, barking. You're barking up the wrong tree. This one is probably easy to guess what it means. You're barking up the wrong tree. Of being misguided in your thoughts or actions. Misguided actions, thoughts. And it comes from, which you probably can guess, is dogs barking, looking up the wrong tree. And looking up the wrong tree and barking when there's nothing up that tree to be barked about. Maybe they're following the scent or something. There might be something that led them to believe it, but it's no longer the case. So that's barking up the wrong tree. Okay. Now the next one is give a cold shoulder. Is not being very welcoming to somebody, being unwelcoming or antisocial. Started with a big U there. And that dates back to cold shoulder. Dates back to the olden days when I put that ruler to one side. When people would come over to your house, and if they're a welcome guest, you might make them a nice warm meal. But if they're an unwelcome guest, you might give them a cold piece of meat from the shoulder of mutton, pork or something like that. And so it's if you didn't really want them to stay, you give them a cold piece of shoulder meat, which means unwelcoming or antisocial. Okay, another good one is go the whole 9 yards. Go the whole 9 yards, which is obviously try your best. Try your best at something, and that dates back to fighter pilots in World War II, and they were given 9 yards of ammunition, and so if they ran out of all their ammunition, then they'd given it their best, used everything they had to when they were shooting at other planes, is go the whole yards, and obviously 9 yards. If you're intermetric, would be, it's not quite 9 metres, it'd be 8.5 or 8.6 metres or 7 metres, not 100% sure. Okay, now let one's hair down. Means to relax. Be at ease is to relax, and this goes back to old English days when women had to have their hair up in big hairdos. So if they, when they were out of, came home and relaxed, they could take out all the bobby pins and things. If there was bobby pins in those days, and let the hair down and relax. Okay. Well, that's one page of idioms. I'll turn it over, and I'm now ready. Put the ruler on there. Give it something to focus on. Okay, so the next one is rub the wrong way. Rub somebody the wrong way is to bother them. Bother. Or annoy someone. And so that goes back to early Americas. There was a right way and a wrong way for servants to rub their oak floorboards. And so if they rubbed it the right way, it was all good. If they rubbed the floorboards the wrong way, it would ruin the floorboards, which, bothered and annoyed the homeowner, homeowner. So all those sort of things. That's a good one. You can't really read into that what might be the reason for coming up with rub the wrong way. Okay. So another one is arm to the teeth. Arm to the teeth. And another one from hundreds of years ago, which means you're over-equipped or well prepared. It goes back to the pirate days when they'd attacking a ship with their swords. They might have something, a knife or in their teeth as they leapt aboard other ships, so if they lose their sword, they've still got another knife in their mouth to I'm sure they would have had other weapons around their body, but it was arm to the teeth, so their arms or their weapons included keeping weapons in their mouth. Okay. Another one is butter him. Butter him up, which is to flatter someone. Say great things about another person. And this comes from the olden days when, I'm not sure which religion, I know it's actually in India. In India, one of the religions in India, the customary was the religious act invited devotees throwing balls of butters at the statues of suppose I should really write that there, shouldn't I? Chuck-a-wobbly. But this actually, flying off the handle, came from poorly made axes, in the 1800s or so. So that when they swing the axe, sometimes the axe head would fly off the handle. And the idea that, well, actually, not sure exactly why. Maybe you'd get angry when you ruined your axe. And chock-a-wobbly is enraged or angry, sometimes unnecessarily. Hopefully there's just one C in necessarily. I think there is. I better unnecessarily chock-a-wobbly. That's a good one, I like that one. Another actually Australian one that I like. Tell him he's dreaming. Tell him he's dreaming, which is where if selling something that's overpriced item, and that actually comes from overpriced items or whatever, like a car maybe, or jousting sticks. It actually comes from, there's a great movie from, well, I'm going to say 1997, could be earlier. It's called The Castle, and I don't know how many times I've watched it now. It's such a good, I don't know if people from other countries would get the jokes, but yeah, it's a really good movie. And in that, the dad, they're always trying to buy and sell things on, well, talking about anyway on, that's when they used to print ads in a newspaper or the Trading Post, and everything that the son would come and say, someone selling jousting sticks, and the dad say, how much do you want for them? And the son would say, I think it might have been $600. And the dad say, tell him he's dreaming, because a set of jousting sticks he felt couldn't be worth $600. So it's and when you say it, everybody thinks back to that great movie called The Castle. So yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah. Okay, so now tell him he's dreaming. I've done that one. Okay, another good one. Let the cat out of the bag. I actually worked with a woman who originally came from Mauritius, I think. And she came here when she was quite young. But nobody in her family, because her family was not an English background, nobody in her family really used idioms. So if you said things, just pop that out a little bit. If you said idioms, she was quite intelligent and she spoke English perfectly. But sometimes you'd have to sort of explain what those, if you said an idiom, you might have to stop and explain to her what that meant, which is fine. I didn't want to do that, but it's just interesting that obviously if you haven't got an English speaking background, then you may not understand all these idioms. Okay, I should really write up here idioms. I should have actually written that, shouldn't I? Idioms I'll write English idioms. so let the cat out of the bag. The origin is that people selling pigs, which are considered valuable, would bag them up with cats, which have, are not valuable. So, you'd think you were getting 3 pigs in a bag, but you might have 1 pig and 2 cats. When you wouldn't want to open up the bag before you got home, because then, the pigs might get out and run away. But if they were cats, so if you actually opened up, you let out the cat out of the bag, that it's not actually containing pigs, but it contains cats in place of pigs. Okay, red herring. So red herring might be another one that maybe you can guess something to do with the red herring, which is meant to mislead, a clue, to mislead someone. And it goes back to 1700s, 17th century. And so it's a red herring means a clue to mislead somebody, and people with hunting dogs would train them just to follow the actual scent of the animal they were chasing, and they drag red herrings across the path, so to train them not to follow, a misleading clue, but to stay on the path and follow the actual animal that they were chasing. Okay, so the next one is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Which means to getting rid of something valuable. Rid of something valuable. And this goes back to the olden days again, when 1500s actually families would only bathe once a year, and they used the same water for every person in the family. Start off with the adult males in the family, and then followed by the females, and then the children would go last, probably in age order. And I guess there was the thought that the water by the end was so dirty that and the babies were the last ones to have the bath, that it was possible, perhaps possible to throw the baby out with the bath water. So you're throwing out something valuable with the bath water, so it's probably something that you wouldn't think would ever happen, but it sort of became an idiom from that idea. Okay, pop the ruler over there, and then the last one is straight from the horse's mouth. Straight from the horse's mouth. Which is where you're getting information that's reliable info. Reliable information. That all with one pencil. Reliable information. And so with you may or may not know, but looking at a horse's mouth, you can tell the age of the horse by looking at the horse's teeth. And I think I did know, actually. I've got a feeling that as the horses, when it's young, it's got smaller teeth, and then maybe as it ages, the teeth get longer, and maybe they push forward a bit this, enjoyed doing this video. I've learned a fair bit myself, and you know a lot of these sayings, but it's good to actually know the background and where that saying has actually originated from. Okay, well, I'll wrap it up now and say